Hello everyone and welcome to today's AustMine webinar, Dippers and Trip Systems, What Matters Most with Austin Engineering. My name is Sam Sakasiris and I'm the National Membership Team Leader here at AustMine and I will be your host today. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm hosting this webinar from the lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people. I also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands on which we all work today and the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that may be attending this webinar. I'm joined today by two experts from Austin Engineering, Dan Sanderson, Customer Solutions Main Tech, and Brad Higgins, General Manager Sales for APAC and EMEA. This webinar is going to explore how thoughtful engineering and material advancements are helping mining operations extend dipper life, reduce downtime, and lower operating costs. We'll walk through the technical process behind modern dipper design, balancing durability, weight, and serviceability while addressing site-specific challenges. You'll also see how close customer collaboration continues to drive meaningful real-world improvements. The session will highlight the iTrip system, Austin's latest evolution in dipper design, which focuses on increasing individual component life through advanced composite materials and design refinements. By reducing maintenance needs and extending dipper campaigns, iTrip represents a smarter approach to shovel productivity. Whether your priority is equipment longevity, lower total cost of ownership, or operational efficiency, this webinar will provide practical insights backed by proven field performance. As we would like this to be an interactive session, please submit your questions as we go. At the end of the presentation, Dan and Brad will respond accordingly. This is a great opportunity to receive expert insights on the topic we are covering today. The Q&A button is located at the bottom of your screen. So send through your questions at any time. You can also upvote on any other audience's questions that you most want answered. We will try to get to as many questions as we can in the time that we have. And we are recording this webinar and we will make it available to all attendees with a link to the AustMine YouTube channel in the coming days. So with all that said, I'd now like to hand over to Brad to commence the discussion.
Thanks, Sam. And thank you to the AustMine team for giving us this opportunity again to talk a little bit about some of the advancements in technology on this particular occasion for dippers. And I guess one of the benefits of today's presentation is you don't have to, let's jump forward, sorry. You don't have to hear my voice a hell of a lot because we have the product expert in Dan Sanderson. He's going to be presenting to you, I guess, a system that is dear to his heart. So a little bit about Dan. You can see Dan there standing in front of a dipper door at the Vegas Mine Expo that we presented at last year. Dan is a fitter by trade. So everything that you're about to hear in this presentation is driven basically by Dan's 20 plus years of service in the system. If someone's touching the slides there from AustMine, that's jumping ahead without me touching a mouse. Dan has worked on more than 30 mining operations around the world. He is the global product expert for us in regards to dippers at Austin, and he does jump on a plane and help all of our customers worldwide. And I guess the key message that we're getting out today is in regard to the dipper iTrip system, which Dan is standing in front of in that picture. Dan has had a very hands-on approach. So from being a fitter on the floor, understanding what the challenges in regards to the tripping and the latching system on the dippers are, and then his involvement through his time with Main Tech. He came into the Austin family about 2 years ago with the Main Tech business. And since then, he has headed up the dipper research for Austin and dealing with our customers. So Dan will be talking through a lot of the slides today and giving you a basic understanding of what that's all about. So with that said, Dan, over to you, mate.
Thank you, Brad. Hello, everyone. Yeah, as Brad said, I spent a lot of time on shovels in particular, and in the last 10 years, pretty much been developing the iTrip system, and it still is a work in progress. And this slide here is just to demonstrate some basic terminology on the electric rope shovel. That's a cat shovel on the slide there now, but basically just to point out the dipper, that's really the one that we're wanting to highlight today. On that one there, you'll see the hoist ropes, and they're called padlocks at the front of the dipper body. and the trip rope. You can go on to the next slide, Brad. Yeah, to break that terminology down a little bit further, this is a P&H 4100, so the trip system and the dippers, there's pretty much just two shovel types that they fit, and they're the CAT electric rope shovel from the previous slide and the P&H electric rope shovel from on this slide here. Yeah, rotating around from left, you've got your snubbers, your padlock or the bail arm or equalizer, depending on the configuration. Dipper lip and GET, they can vary. Dipper body obviously varies with capacity. Dipper door, the Dutchman latch keeper, latch bar, latch lever, trip rope, and dipper handles. They're all, very common terminology for the shovel dipper.
Sorry, Dan, that slide's a bit touchy, mate. I'll jump in there. Sorry to stuff you around. I guess, Dan, I'll jump in here and just talk about the bucket offering. So if for those of you that may have attended the last session, we spoke in depth about what Austin looks at when designing the right bucket. So this presentation today really is about the iTrip, but just a bit of an overview. You can see there that there's 3 dippers on the screen. As Dan mentioned, we build them for I guess Austin's niche is customize attachments. So these mining buckets can fit multitude of OEMs. You can see there on the left-hand side of the screen, it's got the word main text standard. That render there with the orange teeth on it, that is actually a render of a bucket that Dan has. He's actually got Dipper Week happening in Mackay right now, where we've actually built that bucket there. It's a world first that Dan will talk about a little bit later in regards to the lip configuration. But when we use the word standard, it kind of dumbs it down. But let me tell you that bucket there is basically a like for like with an OEM with improvements made to customize that to really, I guess, capture the digging operation that it's going to be operating in. And if we jump to the other side of the screen, the JC, the red one there, again, that's a render of a bucket that we've built for a customer in southern Peru. And we talk a little bit about that later on in the presentation as well. But the 2 outside buckets, they're more of a typical style of OEM style of bucket where we've made some slight improvements to make sure that the customer gets some digging advantages. The one in the middle, the armadillo, we've got one of these buckets. This was years of research and I guess development in regards to the dipper bucket. And you can see the trapezoidal type shape. It's a different shape configuration. And we targeted a specific density and dig for a customer. And we maximized the fill in regards to the design on the bucket when we were considering where it was going to be operating. So that armadillo, you can see there the catchphrase is called Dig Tough. That is actually a dipper that we have created. It's running successfully in the North American market with some great success. And I guess the moral of this story, this slide, is to show that Austin has had a long history from JEC through to Maintech and now with the Armadillo. We've got a long history of building and designing dipper buckets. But in particular, this presentation today, when I jump into the next slide, is around those enhancements of the iTrip system to benefit any which one of these models.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, I suppose the iTrip system, Maintech started out in 2010 predominantly as a rebuild facility, specializing in shovel dipper rebuilds and excavator buckets. But predominantly with the shovel dipper rebuilds, we started working with customers and enhancing existing designs and just making changes where we could. And the evolution of those changes led us to developing a system and calling it the iTrip system. It's not just the tripping mechanism, which is in the bottom of the screen there. That is the tripping mechanism which opens the door when the operator presses the button. But we also made improvements to the door hinge system and the equalizer or the equalizer system or the padlock for a CAT machine. And specifically those changes to the top items there, that enabled the dipper to stay on the machine for longer. Really good improvements, and you'll see in future slides coming up that the longevity and of the hang time of the dip has increased just through those designs. So we're just going to go through the iTrip latch system to begin with in a bit more depth. And where that green arrow is pointing to there, that's basically the latch keeper. And if you think of the door just like a door in your house or in a car, it's got a latching mechanism and it's got a receiver. So the receiver in the dipper body there is what the latch bar latches into. And that's how you set your engagement. And then when the operator presses the button, that wire rope lifts that lever, just like you lift the lever in your car or your door handle, and that's what opens the door. So when you remove the door components, and these are the consumable components, I suppose you would say. On the right-hand side there, typically it's a latch lever. That's where the rope mechanism goes through that sheave at the end, and that raises the lever. There's a fulcrum point on the left-hand side of the lever there, and that slides the latch bar up and down. So that image on the right-hand side there, everywhere that's green is a poly product, which traditionally was steel, and that steel on steel was what creates the friction and the difficulty with tripping. So when we put these poly products in, it just allows for a smoother, less resistance to tripping, and then we can create a deeper engagement with the latch bar into the latch keeper, and therefore less shimming events. And that image on the left is just that latch lever disassembled view. Yeah, some benefits of the evolution of the system, and this was built from the ground up, as sort of Brad spoke to before. A lot of time on sites. Pretty much every photo in this slide is taken by myself or one of our team members, where we've, gathering data, looking at what works, looking at what didn't work, and refining the system with the help of our customers. And basically through increased service life of the individual components, that's what's led to, our goal was to increase service life. That's led to the benefits that we see, which is reduced shimming, and the shimming intervals and the less service intervals. Yeah, we can take clients from 2-week services to 4-week services, and then reduce rebuild costs at the when it does come time for a rebuild. We can reuse some components, and there's components that don't wear out anymore. And there's the ease of maintenance and improved production. The improved production comes through pretty much through less downtime, less breakdowns, and less shimming events. Just breaking it down a little bit more deeper into the actual latch bar. Latch bar, typically the old system, the old style was 16 weeks, and it used to cop a lot of friction, and you'll see that swirling metal on metal wear on the left-hand screen there. That's from the interaction with the green lever where it goes through or the lever in that little slide, it's green there. And that's where the interaction, it just leads to friction and poor tripping setup. And on the right-hand side there, that's the slot in the latch bar again, where that lever interacts with that face. And when it's all set up nice and it's running on the poly surfaces that we have in there, it just doesn't encounter any friction or wear. So we can extend that life up to 48 weeks is pretty standard, but we have seen dippers leave and come back for a rebuild after 72 weeks with the same latch bar still in there. Yeah, that's that lever interface on the left-hand side there, where it runs through that latch bar, with the old fulcrum setup and the old metal on metal up top there. Everything about there is just friction and wear, and then you have to shim to compensate for that wear. And the one on the right there, that was a latch lever that was removed just so we could have a look at it, take some photos, and it went back to service. And that lever, typically those latch levers last up to 48 weeks, and even beyond that. We provide maintenance strategies for components to be replaced as part of this package, and yeah, some people choose to run beyond that, and that's where we get the big numbers like 76 weeks at times.
So Dan, just to reinforce there a little bit, I know that people can see that you mentioned there it's been removed, where you've taken the photo just for an inspection. So just for the audience that may not be familiar, that section of polished steel on that top radius is basically all the wear that was experienced after 48 weeks versus what you can see in the OEM picture in the black and white there. So that is not a new iTrip system on the ground. That has done 48 weeks of service, and all the wear that has been experienced is that polished surface on that top radius, correct?
Correct. And those, you can see those wear buttons that we have in the face there, that where it's not worn, that's what those wear buttons have done their job there and protected that face. And the upper surface there is running on a poly surface up on the upper of the latch bar, which does a lot of work. It's surprising how little wear it gets. And then through the extended trip rope life, and it gets back to this ease of tripping. And if you talk to any operators that run the system, shovel operators, they always comment on how nice it trips. So again, when the operator presses the button, the trip rope pulls on the standard sheave arrangement there. You know, you've got like 25 mil of play between the throat of that sheave and the thickness of the latch lever that we're looking at end on there in this view. And on the right-hand side, the iTrip, we've tightened that tolerance right up. Our latch levers are actually 60 millimeters thick versus 50, and the throat thickness on our sheaves is something like 63 millimeters. It's quite refined. And we also have replaceable poly little top hat bushes that go into the sheave, so we can renew that fit once we get a bit of wear there, and then that sheave remains in that upright position. When the operator presses the button, it's just a direct trip. It doesn't have to first stand that sheave up, and we from that, look, that's an actual case study down there in inverted commas. Those guys ran side by side, one system with their old setup and one system with iTrip, and there was a big saving in trip rope life and trip rope replacements, and therefore downtime. These are some slides we put together. This is planned maintenance. So planned maintenance is in with the standard system, with the wear that you see in the fulcrum setup. You have to rotate your latch lever and fulcrum C block every 4 weeks and replace every 8 weeks. And the latch bar was the same. It was around that 16-week replacement mark. So just by running the iTrip system, the planned maintenance was reduced to 145 hours over a 48-week campaign. And then just in those same component replacements for planned maintenance, we're nearly close to halving the cost of planned maintenance components.
And just for the audience, Dan, you mentioned there a couple of times planned maintenance. So this is not taking into consideration, this is a very conservative approach in regards to the iTrip review. This is not scheduling or considering any of the benefits from that unplanned kind of breakdown type events, correct? This is just based on like for like planned maintenance scenarios, not considering any breakdowns.
Yeah. And that's correct. And that's the iTrip there at a 2-week maintenance interval. And we've actually lowered that further with some later changes that we've made to the lower latch bar insert, where we've been able to push that out to 4 weeks. And that makes a huge difference with the maintenance hours. This is just to highlight that from that beginning slide, the equalizer system and the door pin system, which have both key components to the hanging the dipper for longer and achieving that. You'll see it in the case study coming up, I believe. The door bush, static door pin upgrade, sorry. So basically it's quite simple. It's just a longer pin. The collar gets welded to the dipper body. The pin no longer rotates, and the door bush is replaced with a self-lubricating poly bush. So when it does come to rebuild, the door pin hardly has any wear in it. You can actually reuse it. Just replace the poly door bush, and those steel bushes don't require replacement because they don't see any wear anymore. There's no rotational wear.
And typically, Dan, what if it was not installed with the poly bush, what type of life expectancy or what type of maintenance would you see the guys with lubrication having to go up and maintain those pins?
Oh, some sites lubricate their doors every single day manually, stop the machine and lubricate the door manually. Other sites, there is some lubrication systems that haven't been successful over the years that operate. You've got to fill the pod with grease and whatnot up on top of the machine, and the door activates it. They're very problematic. And then if you just run steel without any lubrication, you will be, I think it's in the cut slide coming up. What you'd see is when the door drops because of wear, exactly that. When the door drops because of wear, you run into problems with latching, and your door will catch on the dipper body because it's physically contacting areas where it should have clearance. Or you'll actually run out of travel in the shim box where you can't keep that latch bar engagement because the door's dropped that much. And that photo on the left is the bush is worn far through the bush and into the parent metal. And on the right hand side there, that's a poly bush after an 18-month campaign. Still quite healthy.
So some massive safety, I guess, improvements as well as the 3 bullet points there: more downtime, less downtime, more hang time, but some massive safety improvements as well, with operators not having to get up there and perform those inspections and lubrication. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the same sort of thing, but on the cat, instead of the equalizer on the front, which we have on a P&H dipper, this is a cat dipper there with the padlocks. While there's no poly in here, just by locking that pin up, we took that huge difference to the OEM version where it runs through that. When the padlocks move with every single load, that rotational force wears out the center lug there. It's got an arrow pointing to it on the right hand side there. And it just can't handle it. Just by locking up that pin, you take out that rotational wear, that center bush doesn't wear anymore. So we could go from 16 weeks to a full campaign, 18 months.
Dan, I'll give you a breather. I'll jump in here, mate. I can see. So I guess one of the things, the iTrip system has a whole lot of moving parts and a whole lot of improvements. One of the things that Austin does, not only with the dipper buckets and the iTrip system, but with all of our parts, we provide some detailed part breakdown for any component or any attachment that we manufacture. And as you can see on the screen here, the picture on the left is the current dipper that's about to leave the shop this week, and you can see a parts breakdown there. And on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see the iTrip system broken down with part numbers at the top, which then refer to part numbers underneath in regards to a box showing you the itemized part breakdown. And that is something that's pretty standard with all of our proposals that go out the door, just to give you that confidence. And I guess, Dan, each and every single one of those parts has a written document behind it that gives some confidence for the end user in regards to inspection and maintenance regimes and replacement strategies, correct?
Yeah, correct. Some of them are just simply replaced on condition, but the bigger parts, we have a planned maintenance strategy. Beer with Forge. So this year, beginning of this year, we Austin Maintech signed a distributorship agreement with Beer with Forge. Beer with Forge have been in the GT and lip industry since the 1940s. Well respected, very experienced, not only with shovel, lips and GT, but also excavator, loader, underground, the whole suite. So we were lucky enough to meet up with these guys at that Las Vegas expo that there was a photo of me at recently. And I needed a lip that was lighter weight than its competitors, and Beer with were more than happy to provide us with a lip for this dipper that we're building right now for a customer in the Bowen Basin. And this lip it's a world's first. It's the fully interchangeable, as they've sort of demonstrated down there with putting 3 teeth next to each other. You can go tooth and shroud like a standard configuration. You can run all shroud, you can run all teeth. The sky's the limit to the configuration that you want to run. But not only that, is the latching mechanism is like nothing I've ever seen. I've used a few over the years. Not a sledgehammer in sight. It's all quite easy to remove and install. So really looking forward to getting this in the dirt for not only a first for Australia, but there's only one other like it in the world, and that's in Mississippi. So really looking forward to this new version. That's the actual dipper that's about to go on a truck on Friday, I believe. It'll be going to work very soon. So and you can see in that photo it's meant to be an 8-tooth station lip, but just to demonstrate its capability, because we've got a few clients coming in to have a look, we just swap the middle tooth and shroud around. Yeah, there's 2 teeth and 2 shrouds side by side in the middle there. So we'll put that back to deliver it as we designed it with 8 teeth, but the customer's keen to have a play around with different configurations. Some safety products we've worked on over the years. I've been on lots of dipper changeouts in the earlier days and on sites that don't have this platform, and it's typically all the ground crew standing around watching one person in an elevated work platform do all the hard yards, and it's very slow. It takes over a shift typically to do a dipper change. Just by coming up with this dipper platform here, it's safe access, it's rated, it's certified, and you can put a few people up there at any one time. There's no working at heights because it's all barricaded. There's no unprotected edges, and it's very user friendly, and it's sped up the whole dipper change process. Not only with that, we have lots of other accessories that go with it for like little pins and jigs, pin removal and installation jigs, door chocks, support stands, dipper change out skids. The list goes on. We've got quite a detailed list. Yeah, I suppose this reinforces the modular upgrades for this. This is a case study where the client only had 9-month dipper hang time, which was pretty common before we started doing what we do. High wear on individual components and rising maintenance costs. So once they installed the iTrip system, not just the tripping mechanism, the poly bushes in the door and the equalizer, they took their hang time to 18 months and beyond. More BCM, 60% more BCMs, that's bank cubic meters, that's material moved with the dipper per campaign. Saved $500,000 per shovel per year. That's just on not having to do a rebuild each year, and reusing some of the pins and maintenance reductions, as we covered in the earlier slides. This is a case study for one client, but it's across the board now pretty much. Most standard dipper campaigns in our area are well and truly over 12 months, anywhere up to 24 months. So it's pretty consistent.
Yeah, thanks. I'll jump in here. So I guess this slide here is just capturing, I guess I wanted to reinforce that photo there is for a customer in a copper mine, Southern Peru Copper. Austin, this isn't just something that we've inherited through the Maintech business. We have got a long history of supplying dippers that we've built ourselves. Typically, they would have been under the JC brand in the past. This bucket here is an actual bucket that was delivered in 2014. It's still operational, and it's done over 50,000 hours. I guess one of the things that we've enhanced the Austin business with in the last couple of years with the involvement of Dan and the team at Maintech is we're now able to go and add all of those other intricacies in regards to parts and considerations to safety and iTrip and the poly bushes, and that's kind of becoming the Austin standard. And as Dan mentioned, we're seeing continuous improvement as we partner with our customers. And we understand their challenges, we can design those challenges out. I'll continue here, Dan. Again, main track was something that we used to use and have used for many, many years, but recently we've rebranded I guess our wear management inspection app to be called AustIQ. You can see there the picture of the iPad. So we can literally in the field type the inputs. We can map out our product before it goes into the field. We can create a maintenance strategy. We can create thickness testing locations. Our product support people can come out to the field, or we can train our partners in regards to inspections. You can log that data directly into the AustIQ app. And then on the right-hand side of that screen, you can see there's a Halt bucket. You can see the photo of the machine in the picture. So things like location, health check, and really it's a one-stop shop that provides you all the details in regards to the attachment health through life, and whether that attachment moves onto different machines and what rebuilds it has. That's something that we're working very hard to make sure that our clients have that one platform that they can jump in, and we're seeing some huge benefits based off of the AustIQ out there in the field, and that's been around for about 8 years now. I'll keep going, Dan, mindful of time. You can see this picture here is Dan on the far left there in front of a dipper. This is on site. I guess what we want to get across here is while Dan heads up our dipper business, I guess globally, he's kind of the go-to man, Dipper Dan, as we like to call him. We do have a team of people, product support, sales, even our workshop staff that Dan works closely with. This is a photo with our clients, but there's plenty of photos of Dan with our product support managers out in the field, and they're putting together, wear points, part replacement strategies, basically the overall structural health and the maintenance strategies on the machine. So Austin are also giving that through life support, and it's the likes of Dan that are driving that in the background for Austin Engineering. And then we asked Dan to come up with 4, I guess, bullet points to leave the presentation on. But before he does that, I just want to add, as you mentioned, Dan's mentioned a few safety, I guess, improvements and those small kind of intricate 1%ers that kind of enhance the products. So it's not just a hang time, and it's not just a cost benefit to the customer. There's some real safety initiatives there as well in regards to reducing maintenance and those other benefits. So Dan, I'll hand it over to you, and you can leave the audience with the 4 bullet points you'd like them to think about when they remember this presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. Yeah, it's pretty much there. It's more hang time with those improvements that we've made, and you can also see in that photo there the liner package in that dipper that's in the air. That's another part to it that we've been able to work on and improve over the years. Proven trip performance. Yeah, it's like I said, when you speak to any of the shovel operators, they really like the iTrip system and how it trips every time for them. Reduction in maintenance, we covered in that. It's not just the planned maintenance, it's a reduction in planned and breakdown maintenance and rebuilds, and developed and proven in the field. This is definitely, we developed this in the field. It really is where it came from. So that's pretty much it.
Over to you, Sam, and question time.
Okay. Thanks very much, gents, for the extremely valuable insights on the dippers and the trip systems. It is now time for questions. And let me have a quick look at how we're going. Okay. First question I have is, can the iTrip system be retrofitted to an existing dipper?
Yes. Yes. Sorry. Yes.
You go, Dan.
Yeah, we can retrofit. That's how it started. We just retrofitted it to standard doors, and then from there we probably built our first door with iTrip on it, and then we've moved on to building whole dippers. So we're still doing retrofits. I think there's a retrofit happening there's a retrofit happening right now downstairs in our workshop. So yeah, it's still, we've got quite a few installations in Australia, and there's still a few more to go, and the retrofit is the easiest way to do it.
Just to add to that, Dan, you've also got a retrofit happening next week in Mongolia with a customer that's fitting it, and we're going over there to support it. So
Correct.
where that's happening as well.
Thanks, gents. The next question is, are there any additional benefits of the iTrip system that were not covered in detail during the presentation?
I suppose it would be the safety aspect of it. I know we did say safety a couple of times, but just through there's less interaction required from maintenance personnel and even operators. Some sites have the operators stop the machine and go down there and do the shim adjustments themselves. So the shim adjustments, when they're less frequent, they're way less frequent with this system. So it's less exposure to the risk or to the hazards.
Thank you, Dan. Next question, will a maintenance strategy and set of procedures be provided with the system, and what aftermarket support will Austin offer?
Yeah, so we have a maintenance strategy that goes with the iTrip, and we can tailor it to suit, but and also there's the AustIQ that Brad just touched on, which Austin's pretty much offer with all their products.
Yeah, there's manuals and supporting documents that go with all of Austin's products as well, that clearly articulate those parts and what we believe the replacement or the repair strategies are for those as well. And I guess like Dan said, that comes from years in the experience in developing that. So you can see he's pretty clear with some of those improvements and right down to the amount of weeks and dollars. That's the kind of involvement we have with all of our customers from the design concept through the delivery. So yeah, we support it through Live Sam and can provide all the components and strategies to support that.
Thanks, guys. Next question. Are these units currently available for dispatch? What are the lead times? And in the event of future in-field maintenance, what stock levels are maintained for the iTrip system?
Yeah, well, we maintain quite a lot of stock actually. Most of all the components that you see on those components maps are on that dipper behind me are all made here in Mackay. There's not a lot that comes from outside this area, so we manufacture locally. We also have Osbor, a machining facility in Mackay and Paget, so we get a lot of pins and bushes and latch bars and whatnot machine there. So the lead time, the longest lead time for components is like a couple of weeks. We're pretty good with supporting with spares. We do a lot of spares. We've got a lot of installations. I think we're up to over 40 dipper installations in Australia alone. But we've also got now North America, South America, Mongolia, so we are supporting globally as well.
All right. Thank you very much for that. That looks like all the questions that have been raised today. If we didn't get to your question, please let us know and we will forward it to the Austin engineering team for their response. I'd like to give a big thank you to Dan and Brad for your time today. Your insights are appreciated as always. Just a reminder, we have recorded the presentation today and we'll send you all a link to access the video through the Ostmine YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody who's attended and we look forward to welcoming you to the next Ostmine webinar.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Ostmine.
Thank you.